All right. So, Aaron, you were talking about the last thing you said, in fact, was very interesting that one will become a demon by trying to master something or become a master. Um, I see that uh, in many places. One of the ways that it can happen is that we, because of our desire to perform and our desire to gain, we often will get angry when somebody tries to get us to do something else or to pay attention to something else, that we gain too much focus or too much concentration. And so, um, also, there is the issue that uh, we want to master something, and then we try to be the master before we've actually gained the mastery. And I see that, uh, gosh, in many different ways. People who play stock market at home in the evening, thinking that they're mastering something. They may have a few good changes, but they'll wind up losing their shirt. You can also see that in gambling, where people will get addicted to the gambling, even though the obvious point is that the house is against them and they're not getting anywhere, but they get that big desire. And all of that is uh, showing at the general example is leading up to Dhamma teachers who want to become master. That the story is that they like so much how other people fawn over and pay attention to the guru, and so they want to become the guru. They want to become the master, and they've got a few things to teach, and so they begin to gather a following, and then they abuse it. And you can see that also in Christianity, to where the preacher will tell people how to behave, and then he doesn't behave himself up to scratch. There was a lot of them in the 1980s with Baker and Tammy Faye and all uh, Savage and several other preachers were all being caught. The more popular and the bigger they got, the bigger their churches, the harder their fall. Then, in fact, that's what that means: is the bigger they come, the harder they fall. That's where we get too far. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Dhammarato.
And so, basically,
Hi, Alexander.
there's there are a lot of analogies to this. One of them that I've heard kind of recently was getting ahead of your skis. Have you ever heard of that phrase? Okay. And the guy that made it famous was the one who seemed to be the best example of getting ahead of the skis. He was some lawyer for, um, I think it was one of the women who, Stormy Daniels' lawyer. I forgot what his name was, but he wound up trying to take all of her money and he got caught at it. Okay, so this is where we go is that a lot of the mastery has to do with what kind of advantages can I take when I get the mastery, when I become the master, when I become the famous one or the guru. We also see that in local churches a lot, to where the preacher will either have his hands in the plate or in the panties of some girl or something. This is how it works. And we have seen that also within the context of Buddhism. That in fact, one of our affiliates at the website is an organization who is dedicated to ethics. Now, if someone really is qualified to teach, part of the qualifications would be that you've already gotten your act together enough that you're not going to abuse the students. And yet we find Western Buddhism absolutely full of teachers who are abusing their students by wanting their money. In fact, several organizations, I think, Alex, you and I have talked about them, to where they're a business. They sell stuff. They sell retreats. They sell T-shirts. They sell coffee mugs. They'll sell anything that they can sell. And then they'll start an email campaign asking for donations, to where the real teaching of the Buddha and the way that Bhikkhu Buddhadasa talks about it, and the way that it's put into practice with the monks and bhikkhus in Thailand, is that we have to get things together as part of, in other words, you have to actually become the master before anybody calls you a master. You have to be able to do it first, rather than using it as a training system where we often fail at it. And this can be put into any context, is that it's better to do, let us say it's better to do a good job than wanting to be famous for doing a good job. But it's even better that we are having fun doing what we're doing, that we're enjoying what we're doing without worrying about, do we ever get it mastered or not? Never mind, I can play with this, I can have fun. That I've been playing with code and software for doing the newsletter on the website, and I've been at it for a couple of weeks now, with no end in sight, basically, but at least I'm having fun with it, getting some success, recognizing that the success that I find is just pointing out things that I haven't gotten yet that need to be done. The example that I found recently is that I thought that the HTML was the problem, and it turns out that no, the suppliers were not forwarding the emails. It's not because the emails were damaged by my HTML, but rather the HTML was okay. They're just not going to deliver the emails. And that they talk about that the mail providers that is built into the system is not all that good. So now that I've got it working, I'm finding out that because I'm sending too many emails, that they're beginning to block it again. And so even though I gotten the HTML, now the limit is there. And so we've got to find a way of raising the limit. And one of the ways that can be done is by batch emailing, sending one email out that has a whole number of recipients. And that's an easier way to get over the limits. But I think that ultimately we'll probably have to pay for one of the providers. But in any case, I'm having fun at it. No need to get frustrated. And we'll eventually get it correct. And this is the way that we should approach the Dhamma also, is never mind, start again, we'll get it again, we'll keep going. And yet the standard way that we live in our society is that it's not having fun doing what you're doing. It's not even mastering what you're doing. It's getting famous and getting credit for what you're doing, even if you're not doing a very good job of it. And so people who are in a position like Dhamma teachers or preachers or religious folks and all of that kind of stuff, most of them are really not ready for it. They're not ready for that position. And one of the easy ways out with that is never try to assume that kind of position. That in fact, yeah, as you notice that we're not doing very much over the past 8 years that we've been doing these video calls, we're not doing much of anything to promote it. And that the website is not about me, it's about Sangha. And so the newsletter is not about me at all. I probably will not have my name much of any place is just, no bigger than anybody else's, because it's not name and fame that I'm looking for. That in fact, that's what was happening with Bhikkhu Buddhadasa. He really wasn't looking for name and fame, and that was part of the reason why he became as famous as he did, was because he's not looking for name and fame. And so that's the problem that we have with our society, is everything is upside down. That the three things that I mentioned was, one, getting credit for what we do, even if we're not doing a good job of it. And number two, getting so involved in trying to master it that we're not having any fun. And then the third one is just enjoying living without looking at, do I get it right? Or looking for, do I ever win all of the name and fame that I would look for? There's actually a song that I like very much, because it's very much about Dhamma, and it's a country western tune that's sung in that heartfelt twang of disappointment. And the name of the song is, and the title or the lyrics of it is, "Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places." Have you ever heard of that song? Looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love. All right. This is where our society actually is. Now, in the context of the song, the woman who is singing is looking for sexual fulfillment or looking for a relationship. But we can broaden that into everything, that we're looking for love in the outside world. We're looking for love by getting a good job done, or we're looking for love by getting credit for getting the job done. To, in fact, the real love is to enjoy what we're doing. And we don't enjoy what we're doing. We were trained to do the job, to get her done, and never mind how we feel about it. That in fact, most people, and I'll question you guys about it. Aaron, do you actually like your job?
Most days, no, I don't.
Huh?
Most days I don't.
Most days you don't. Okay. Is it the job's fault?
No.
No, it's not the job's fault. You could enjoy that job if you wanted to, but what we need to do then is to start training the mind into liking what we're doing. Now, just as we go to a gym and pump iron, the way to get started is by doing the small stuff, like 2 kilogram, maybe 5 kilogram, that's a 10-pounder dumbbell, and we do the repetitions over and over and over again before we ever go try to lift a 100-pound barbell, right? So if we see that if we can do it that way, another way is that you don't start a brand new child at the piano. You don't start them with Chopin. You start them with Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. We start with something simple, right? And this is how we were also going to practice the Dhamma. If we can learn to do simple things and enjoy doing it, then we can go to other things. Now, some simple things that we can talk about is like cleaning our fingernails. A lot of people will work really, really hard at getting their fingernails up to scratch, putting falsies on and painting them and clipping and doing all kinds of things because they want something out of those fingernails. And the other one would be just to enjoy cleaning. Just spend the time and just enjoy what you're doing. That's the whole point is that let's not stop trying to be the master, or let's even stop trying to be, to have mastery at something, and just start enjoying doing it. Does that make sense, Eric?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, do you enjoy your job?
I don't really have a job.
You don't? Well, that's easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the easy way out. And that's what we actually recommend. And I heard over and over again. In fact, I was just listening to one of the old videos with Steve James, where he was questioning me about, well, what happens if people just stop working? What would happen? What would happen if everybody quit? What would happen if everybody became a monk? The
The
answer is
world would
this.
end.
Pardon?
The world would end.
Well, no, the world wouldn't end. Planet Earth would probably take a breather saying, wow, I'm glad those humans stopped working so hard because they're so
Mhm.
greedy. That, in fact, one of the reasons why people do work at jobs is because they want things. They want a better job. They want a promotion. They want to do a good job. And while they're looking for doing a good job and getting credit for doing a good job, they wound up not actually enjoying the job. And so the way that we need to practice is start by something very, very simple. And that is, even simpler than cleaning the fingernails would be cleaning the mind. It really is that easy to clean the mind. You don't even need a knife or tools or anything like you do with cleaning your fingernails. Or even cotton swabs, you need those in order to clean out your ears. But with cleaning out the mind, there's really nothing to it. And yet I have on a regular basis talked to people when I tell them that, and then they start asking a lot of questions. They want to get it right. Over and over and over again, I tell people to take a deep breath and smile and say everything is all right. And they're always, their answer to that is, yes, but what about this? And yes, but what about that? And the answer to that is, never mind this and that, that's the junk that we clean, that we have in our mind. That's the stuff that we need to clean out. To clean out the whatabouts, the whataboutisms. Clean out all of the blame and all of the worries and all of the whys do I want to be the master? Why do I want to get the job done right? And just sit back and relax and train the mind into being happy. So, Eric, you don't have a job.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, well, what do you do then? Loaded question.
I'm studying for being able to earn money online. That's what I do in
Oh,
a
that's your
productive
job.
game.
Your job is
Yeah,
student.
sort of. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to make my own schedule and advance at my own pace.
Well, that's better than actually having somebody else's schedule and other people's pace. But I find myself that actually, due to the combinations of some body pain and the fact that I've got older and the fact that I'm retired and all of that kind of stuff, means that my own pace is a whole lot of nothing.
That's good too.
Just sitting and enjoying, or sitting and petting the dog, or sitting and just looking out and enjoying being alive. But young people don't realize that they can set those conditions for themselves. And it sounds, Eric, like you've been listening to a lot of stuff that we've been talking about over the long time, so that you
Of course.
can, in fact, start to listen to your own pace, to find your own center. And that's more possible now. In the old days, you had to go to school when the school bell rang. They've got clocks, you know. But now that we have the internet, we can learn at our own pace. Like learning to do internet emailing. I'm learning at my own pace. And that I'm not, luckily, wow, what a fortunate point is that I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in that state of I got to get it done. And I was in that state for many, many years. Got to be productive. Got stuff to do. And now we can just kind of lay back and say, let me take the time to waste some time, to not get anything out of it other than the enjoyment of the moment. So, Alex, you're also in school. I
Yes,
hope that you're enjoying that.
I am, very much so. I really take a lot of time often to reflect on it. One of the things that I do when I reflect on it is I reflect on not my benefactors. I'm trying to think of the proper word for it, but those that support me in going to school, in learning, or even when I go to work and I look around at work, and I see all of those people there. In a lot of ways, I see that we support each other when we show up, so it's very important to me to be able to go to school and get very thorough enjoyment out of all of the learning activities that I get to participate in, as well as I'm only working part-time right now because I'm also doing the full-time school and everything, so the few times a week that I am at the old Best Buy or something and I get to walk around and interact with all the friends out there and all the people that I see, it's a really beautiful thing.
It's beautiful that you can see all the beauty, that you see those students you're around as being benefactors and helping you, and not paying so much attention to see how worried and frustrated they are. That in fact, I
Yeah,
imagine that you in a good mood are also benefiting them.
I like to think so. I always have a really good time when I get to turn a frown upside down or something like that. One of the things that I know that I really appreciate, even in working like a retail job, is the fact that all day when I am there or I am at school or here, I get to practice the Dhamma with all of my heart, which is just truly, it's an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Everywhere you look, there is Dhamma. There is Dhamma in everything. That one of the ways that we can look at that is our environment. Our environment, wherever you are, whatever your environment, has nothing to do with the environment itself, but how we enjoy it or how we are in tune with our environment. Now, let's separate that from environmentalism or environmentalist. That what the environmentalists do is that they look at all the problems of the environment and they're trying to fix it. And that if we could understand that, in fact, there have been mystics throughout the ages. Someone just posted something about Rumi, about every time that you say, oh God, he'll answer in 100 ways. Do you understand what that means? Okay. That actually it's when we say God, even if we have the thought of that there is a personification, perhaps even a photograph or an image of God, actually the real God is the environment itself. And the kingdom of God is within us. And so if we can just be in our environment and experiencing that environment for actually what it is, then we're sitting in the lap of God. That, in fact, that's always the case. The problem is that we don't appreciate it. We don't recognize it. We don't see that this is what we have. Let's make of it what we will. And we have choices there. So even though the environment there is supporting us, I mean, in the 1950s, there was a musical called The Best Things in Life Are Free. And I went around trying to name those. Well, some of the best things in life are free. Maybe bottled water has gotten expensive, but water itself is all over the place. It's free. and you can use it as you will. The next one is even more ubiquitous, and that is air. That we can find air to breathe. Now, I'm intentionally on an island, which means that the air here is pretty good. Sometimes it rains and sometimes it's bright sunshine, but always the air is fairly clean. And yet this computer sitting out here on the porch, the keyboard and the screen and the whole show gets really dirty, really dusty because of all the air pollution that's falling right here. Now, it's not really grains of sand, it's actually more like soot. And so I would say that the soot that's in the air is man-made. Even in the cleanest air, we've got a lot of soot. But that doesn't mean it's okay there's soot. I can wipe that stuff off of my screen happily. Not a worry, not a problem. And the best things in life are free. One of the things that in life are free is friendship. Think about that. When we have a lot of friends, we get joy from our friends. And that's actually a skill to be developed, is the skill of being friendly. Well, let's also go back to the idea of let's make that really, really easy to practice by learning to become friends with ourselves. Stop criticizing ourselves. We criticize ourselves a whole lot more than we criticize other people. And we criticize more other people in the inside of our mind, thinking about them, than we do actually speaking it out in public. And so if we can begin to see how many negative thoughts, how many complaining thoughts that we have trying to fix things, and start turning those thoughts into, wow, isn't it nice? Everything is, the best things in life are free. All I have to do is look at them and appreciate them. Oh, the air that I'm breathing, what nice air it is. Yeah, it's polluted, so what? It keeps me alive. All the plants in the yard, they're beautiful. Let me just experience them and just enjoy things the way that they are. This takes training to undo the training that we have gotten from society. To undo that training to say, you gotta go make a show. You gotta be well known. That in fact, everybody who plays a musical instrument, when they're learning to play the musical instrument, what do they have thoughts in their head? It's the audience. How many will enjoy my music? And the reality is that if the student enjoys the practice, he will improve. That if he wants to become the star, he's going to have a lot of trouble in his life. He's going to have a lot of trouble learning to play the instrument. He's going to have a lot of trouble getting famous. And he's going to have a whole lot of trouble once he becomes famous. That the life of a celebrity is not really all of that happy. It's not good to become well known. Many different problems that you've heard about. One is called the paparazzi, that if you become famous, the media won't leave you alone. If you become the guru, the sweet young things just won't leave you alone. If you become a billionaire, the money grubbers just won't leave you alone. So this is how we can look at it, is it's a whole lot easier, it's a whole lot freer. In fact, the best things in life are free, including solitude. Think about that solitude, being on your own, being free from all of the cares and all the worries of the world. That you can just be alone in your environment, appreciating your environment without having demands made upon you. But this, again, requires practice, because most people, when they go out on alone, they still want a bunch of stuff. They're not happy and satisfied with the way things are. That in fact, if they're out alone, then they'll want friends. And when they're with friends, they want to be alone. And they're not ever satisfied. So that's funny that the best things in life for free include friendship, and the best things in life are free also include solitude, if we can see it that way. And we need to practice it to recognize, for instance, going back to that point about teaching the student, that right now, take a deep breath and say everything is okay and everything is all right. And you get a yes, but what about this and what about that? Let me say again, take a deep breath and have the thoughts, everything is okay, everything is all right. So this is the way that we start practicing. And that's the way that we continue to practice until that becomes the music and the dance that we live by, that everything is okay, everything is fine, your satisfaction. One of the best things in life that is free is your own satisfaction, your own feeling of everything is all right. And when you get really good at being satisfied, then that itself is a success. That's probably the best success that I know of. And that success also is free. The best things in life are being successful, and that what we're practicing is to be successful at being satisfied. And when we continue to, I see some smiles here. Emin, what do you think about what I'm saying now? That the best things in life are free. Satisfaction and success is free. And yet look how hard people work. Look how much money they have to pay, etc., like that, to feel successful.
Yeah. Satisfaction and fulfillment are like the ultimate goal for everyone, I feel. That's a driving force.
Mm-hmm.
And we seek it in everything and we don't find it until you run out of gas and you stop. Maybe you can see it then for a second.
Mm-hmm. That it's implied, but it's not, let us say, ground in, that there's a lot of the Dhamma that is mentioned as being correct, but because the teacher doesn't make a point of it, the students miss it. Like, for instance, upon reflection and talking to other students of Goenka, he would always say, have joy. But he didn't make it as part of the practice that he was teaching. He was teaching Anapana and he was teaching sweeping. And so the students would see that that was the important thing and that he would not emphasize enjoy doing that. Enjoy being successful at scanning. Enjoy being satisfied with just that's what we're doing, just watching the breath. And when the mind wanders away, be satisfied that we caught it and bring it back. That in fact, when the Buddha teaches, he says that he teaches only one thing. A long time ago, we made a survey, and in fact, Tun was asking that, and then he was able to come up with even more. So I think that we've got 4 different sutta references. The one that's the best one that I know is in Majjhima Nikaya number 22, the simile of the snake, when the Buddha says that both formerly and now, I teach only one thing. Only one thing. Dukkha, dukkha, nirodha. Well, the word dukkha and the word dukkha nirodha, the word nirodha means rotting away. Nil, nit, nothing, right? And that everything that's important is dukkha. And when we don't have anything more important, then that's dukkha nirodha. We can see that in the analogy that once you get a job done, we become satisfied with our work. We become satisfied with it. But that doesn't last long because we'll find new work to do. What we really need for practice is to practice getting satisfied and staying satisfied, because the word actually dukkha means being dissatisfied. And so when you are in a state of satisfaction, that's the teaching of the Buddha. Now, we can put all of these special words on it, like Arahat and stream entry and enlightenment and nirvana and all of those fancy words, but they all have to do with being satisfied, being free from being dissatisfied. That's another thing in life. The best things in life are free, and the feeling of satisfaction is free. And yet most people spend so much time trying to get satisfaction by looking for love in all the wrong places. So our satisfaction then is really all that we need. But there is more to it than that. Just like, do you want cake? Well, there's more to cake than cake. Beside cake, you've got icing. Beside icing, you've got candles on top. Beside the icing and the candles, you also maybe have a cherry on top. But all of that is nothing compared to the cake and ice cream. You see, so there's always a little more, but we start with the satisfaction. And that what happens with that is that once we've gotten that state of satisfaction, we're finished in that moment with dukkha. And so practicing to come back into the state of satisfaction over and over and over again is the way to go. But as we do that, what builds on top of that is that success, that feeling of success. I'm actually good at being satisfied. This is that wow sensation. This is the piti. This is the cherry. Or maybe the singing of the birthday song. That's what makes the birthday cake the best, is singing the song. Wow, I've got this. That pity, that joyous moment that is on top of it. But when we come off of that peak, we come back to the satisfaction that everything is all right, everything is okay. And so all of the best things in life are actually free. Look at the list that we've accomplished so far. The feeling of success is free. The air that we're breathing is free. Friendship is free. Solitude is free. All of that stuff is free. Our environment that we live in is free. There's something else, and that is gravity. Gravity is free. Now, a lot of people don't like gravity. They don't want to fly in the air. And they always crash land because gravity keeps bringing them back down to the earth. And so being grounded in the earth, grounded in your environment, is free. Isn't that marvelous, guys? We've got so much stuff. The very best things in life are actually free.
It's very
Eric,
marvelous.
do you have anything to say about this?
I completely agree. I've thought of that gravity is like a gentle hug from Mother Earth.
It's our mother. Without it, we would not survive. We're sucking on the tits of Mother Earth on a regular basis. Can you enjoy doing that without causing any harm? Aaron, do you have anything to say about this?
It's like a lot of artists, I feel, good artists have this, which is if you do something from a place of joy versus neurosis, it shows in your work. And I like to draw sometimes, and the times that I calm down and instead of wanting something, I give something to the drawing. Okay, I respect you. I want to slow down for you. And then it becomes so beautiful in the end. Vice versa. If I want to make it beautiful, it's not going to look beautiful.
That's the key. When we're trying to make it beautiful, it winds up being not beautiful. And even if it is beautiful, it's not beautiful enough.
It's a demon.
That's the demon. That's where the demon comes in, is this not ever good enough. We're not ever famous enough. There's always not enough money. There's not enough power. There's not enough glory because we want it. And when we become satisfied, then our life becomes free from all of that. And then life becomes really beautiful. So beauty is another word that we can use for the best things in life are free. Beauty is free because beauty is in the eye or the mind of the beholder. If you look at something and see it as beautiful, then that beauty is free. You don't have to go to the Louvre or to a museum or anything like that. You can just look at the sky. There it is. And it's beautiful. It's magnificent, especially at night if you're away from the cities with all the pollution. Then, in fact, here on this island, over at Wat Khao Tum, there's a great big rock, huge rock. And the advantage of that huge rock is that there are no trees growing out of it, which means that you have an enormous vista of the sky and also of the island because it's up on a very high hill and looking down on that magnificent vista. That in fact, one of the things that Tun and I were doing one day was sitting up on that rock and recognizing that you can actually see that the earth is round because you can see the horizon, that just barely it's curved. It's not a flat horizon, if you actually notice that. And so even the horizon is one of the best things in life that are free if you can find a place to see it. The sky is magnificently beautiful if you can take the time to actually go someplace to actually see it. There's a couple of other things that I would add there too, and that is the twin concept of generosity and gratitude. Let's start with gratitude, that gratitude is actually free. If we will actually see that everything that is free that's given to us is given to us free, and we can find a way of feeling gratitude, to feel grateful to what is there, to become grateful for being alive, being grateful for having air, for having gravity, for having solitude, for having friendship, for having the ability to love and care for oneself, and the gratitude of being able to do stuff and get stuff accomplished happily. Like artists, if they actually enjoy their art, they're getting a great deal of benefit out of that because of the way that they feel. Now, when we get a whole load of free stuff, we become really, really wealthy. This is a way of talking about it, that from success grows success after success after success to the point that we feel wealthy, that we've got plenty. And so we can then use that point as being generous. Like, man, I've got so much Dhamma, I don't know what to do with it all, so I give it away. Man, I've got so much joy, I don't know what to do with it all, so I give it away. I share it with others. And that generosity then becomes free. But if you give money to the church, but you miss it just a little bit, and I've seen it actually in a movie, but it's kind of a spoof on evangelical preachers, when the preacher is saying, we need a great big fortune here in the church, we need to see the glory of God, so when you dig deep in your pocket, dig deep in your pocket. In other words, your generosity is not good enough until it hurts, right? But that's not the generosity that we're talking about. Don't give stuff in generosity when it costs, when it's not free. That the generosity should be free because we feel wealthy. We've got everything that we need. We've got more money than we need. I've got more clothes than I need. So if the rats want a meal, yeah, they can have this shirt. Well, I live on, I mean, that happens here. And so instead of feeling bad because we lost the trousers or something, we can say, that's okay. We got plenty. Let them have it. That's the feeling of generosity is actually the crown jewel somehow, is to feel so wealthy, so successful that you're overflowing. Your cup overfloweth. Your bucket is finally so full of Dhamma that it leaks out over the top. And that feeling of generosity also is free. Alex, what do you think?
I think that is really marvelous. I really like the good news, Dhammarato. And I love being able to share it with all of you, with all of my friends here in the Sangha on these calls and in our chats and on our
Yes, you're
website.
very generous, and I love that about you. And loving a friend is free. Doesn't cost
Yeah.
me anything to appreciate your marvelous qualities.
Thank you, Dhammarato. I feel the very same about you.
So, Eric, what do you think?
It's hard to think while being so relaxed.
So, so that's another one. The best things in life are free. Feeling relaxed and content is free. You don't have to go do anything or get anything or pay a price for it. Can you imagine somebody was doing mail order relaxation? You give them $1 or $2 and they send you a relaxation all bundled
get
up in the postage.
What a racket.
What a racket is right. So feeling relaxed, that's free. But you have to practice doing it because being uptight is also pretty free.
It's a very good point.
Never mind. Never mind the uptightness.
Yes.
So, Aaron, what do you think?
I'm good. I agree. There's nothing.
Nothing. That's okay. So now we can end this call with saying the absolute best thing that's of life is free. All the best things of life is free, and the very, very top dude, the cherry itself, is nothing. Nothing is free. And when you've got a whole lot of nothing, it's easy to give it away. I got nothing. It's all empty. Doesn't mean a thing.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful, though.
It is. Nothing is the most beautiful thing there is.
But
Nothing
nothing isn't really nothing. It's like nothingness is full of potentiality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a wonderful way to look at it.
All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and finish this call. Does anybody have any last things to say?
Just thank you all so much. Much love to everyone.
Yeah, this has
Thank you,
been a
everyone.
happy call.
Thank you, Alex.
Happiness is free.
You guys.
We'll
See you again soon,
Nice
my
meeting,
friends.
see
nice
ya.
meeting you, Aaron.
See you guys.
You.
Nice meeting you guys.
See you on the chat.
Yeah, chat about it on the on the internet on the Skype groups. We got a lot of good friends there.
See you, everyone.